Hey guys, it's me Meteor. Considering how many Kirby games I've covered, played, analyzed, or criticized, some may wonder why I haven't made a video about copy abilities a long time ago. Well, the problem with Kirby abilities is that they have changed heavily over the years, and each game can handle them completely differently. I mean, I could just focus on abilities from the modern games, however, that's not fair to the originality of the earlier games either. So instead, I will handle this topic in 3 parts, the first of which, as you can tell, will be classic abilities, pointing out my favorites from each game up to Squeak Squad. Sure, Squeak Squad may seem modern to some like me, but considering the game came out almost 15 years ago, it is not what I would consider modern by any stretch anymore. Just wait until 15 years pass after the next Kirby game, when people start considering that game a classic. Then you'll know how I feel. Anyway, let's start with Adventure. As the first game with abilities, the mechanics of one move per ability may seem dated for sure. In fact, abilities like Burning and Fire were combined into one in later games. Even still, there are a few abilities that were quite unique, UFO being the first. It's so fun to use and such a powerful, rare ability. Blasting through stuff midair with lasers never gets old. I'm always so sad when I miss my chance to get it. Another one is Throw. A one-trick pony, but a great trick. There's something satisfying about taking an enemy and just hurling it through a line of blocks. Imagine having the power of a star pellet created from inhaling 2 enemies at the same time, always. Even more, you could even aim it diagonally. Honestly, there really isn't anything else from Adventure that stands the test of time. Though I will state that Spark was especially noteworthy in Adventure for having the unique ability to slow down the entire game upon its use. Impressive. Next up is the whole Dark Matter trilogy. But in typical HAL fashion, we're just going to push those games aside for now and focus on Superstar. As the game that introduced hats and movesets for every ability, most of the modern abilities are very similar to these. For that reason, I will only focus on those I liked better in the classic version. First up is Hammer. Yes, Hammer is easily known as one of the most overpowered abilities in the series, but in Superstar, it was even more so. It was quick, powerful, and could decimate bosses in seconds. There's a reason why all the speedruns for the True Arena in Ultra use the hammer. As overpowered as it was, piling through enemies at close range and in the air without having to stop gave a sense of power only surpassed by the screw attack in Metroid games. The other ability I always scrambled to get immediately was Mirror. It wasn't exactly the most powerful ability in the game, but man was it fun to use. Between the sound of the mirror, the animation, attacking in literally 2 places at once, and the reflective capabilities, for the longest time, this was my all-time favorite copy ability. Now, I do like how it was given new moves, or the fact they brought it back at all. Even still, the moves weren't as snappy as the original, and the animations were ever so slightly longer. Regardless of my opinions of its modern adaptation, Mirror from Superstar still probably remains my favorite classic copy ability to date. There are definitely other great copy abilities from Superstar, but like I said, I'll save those for the modern video. Before I move on though, I still think Paint at least deserves a special mention for being the only real ability to change the entire way a boss is fought. Really a cool little Easter egg. Standard abilities like these didn't return until at least Amazing Mirror. Even still, most of the abilities in that game didn't have a full moveset, which makes sense as it used the same engine as Nightmare in Dreamland, a remake of Adventure. I mean, they didn't even merge Fire and Burning back together. The few they did add weren't too great either. Cupid was iconic, but almost useless. Missile was hard to control, and Mini was simply used for solving puzzles. There is one ability though that really was amazing. Fans of this game probably know what I'm talking about. Smash. Now, some may think, Oh, it's just a Smash Bros moveset, big deal. Using those moves in a Kirby game though is a whole nother story. You have all the best moves at your fingertips, the final cutter, stone, and hammer. Want to be invincible? You got it. Need to cut something? You got it. Need to pound stakes? You got it. This ability allowed you to solve almost every puzzle in the game with it alone. That's even better for a Metroidvania like this was. Only thing it was missing was fire. Though they even added that in Robobot by means of hammer flip. Not as useful there though. Of course, they couldn't make it solve every puzzle. They needed to save that for the special ability, Master, which would only be useful if you didn't 100% the game before beating it. Overall, it basically worked like a fire sword, with a few exceptions there. Speaking of fire sword, it's time to move on to the last game of the classic era, Squeak Squad, which, once again, used the same engine as the last two. Hey, at least fire and burning were merged back together again. Regarding new abilities, once again, not too many were very memorable. We got Metal, which is basically Kirby 64's Stone Kirby without the capability of floating for its life, Ghost, which can't go down ladders, and Bubble, which would have been so much more fun to use if not for the limited stomach space. Once again though, there is one ability that definitely stands above the rest, Magic. Originally making an appearance in Amazing Mirror as a single-use random ability, it was given a full moveset in Squeak Squad. In fact, it is probably one of the most unique and versatile abilities I've seen, from summoning doves in all directions, throwing cards quickly ahead to slice things, to a giant bouncing jack-in-the-box. It really is the jack of all trades. Of course, if for some reason you did miss the randomness of the original ability, just hold B, and you could use that too. I love the idea of taking a single-use ability and making a full moveset from it. It's an idea I would love to see embraced more in the future. Either way, that really covers all my favorite abilities from the classic games. Don't worry, I didn't forget about the Dark Matter trilogy. In fact, next time on Ask Meteorz, I will be discussing my favorite combo abilities from them. In the meantime, if you have another question for me, go ahead and ask, and I may answer it next time.